Welcome to American Baker in Germany. I'm Michelle, and today we're going to make a chocolate funfetti checkerboard LOL surprise cake for my daughter's 5th birthday. I'm very excited about this, and I hope you enjoy what we do today. Let's go! Alright, moving on to our 10-inch layers. They're frozen solid. These are still fairly frozen, except for this layer, and I'm not quite sure why. It's a little bit crumbly, so we're going to have to be a little cautious with that one, but this one seems to be pretty stable. So first thing I did is I measured across. Let's see what I'm doing. There we go. Measured across, and it is 23.5 centimeters, give or take. And so that's like divided by 3, that's almost 8, just under 8 centimeters. And so 8 centimeters is here. And this is just under 8 centimeters. Isn't that right? You even see it, it's pink on pink. So that's our center one. Double that, and it's just under 16. So this one, well, yeah, this one's 15 and a half. There we go, there's 16. So, this is just a bowl that we have at home, and I'll use that to make an impression to decide where to trace. I'm going to go ahead and do this directly on the turntable. Well, I guess not directly on the turntable because I have a piece of cardboard covered in tin foil that I use as a cake board, and this is to make it easier to pick up my cakes, and especially something like this that has so many layers, and we're going to have to be careful with that. I want to make sure it doesn't crumble and fall apart, so we're going to put it directly on here to begin with. Discovered with the smaller layer that it was quite crumbly still. I didn't even crumb coat it, I just stacked it, filled it, put it in the fridge to chill, gain some more stability because I don't want it falling apart. I'm a little concerned about this layer, so I want to do it last. So in this tier, I'm going to start with the chocolate. I'm going to put that one on the top. So let's start over here. I cut out each of the circles, centering them as best I can using a ruler. You can see the stack of birthday presents behind me. I'm not sure why I chose to start with the middle piece. You can see the colorful funfetti. First layer is quite stable, didn't give me any trouble. I fill it with Swiss meringue buttercream. I don't always use Swiss meringue buttercream, but since it's less sweet than American buttercream, I decided it was better to use for a cake with many layers. But the rest of the layers I assembled in reverse order, outside ring first, to allow me to line it up properly. What are you doing to me? Okay. This one's gonna break in pieces. I can already tell. Yeah, look at that. What can you do? So if that happens to you, it does happen sometimes, and I knew that was probably gonna happen in this case. You kind of have to Humpty Dumpty it back together. It's not that big a deal. We will live through this. We will get through it. Okay, there's the centerpiece. Because the buttercream will keep it all together, even though it's a little crumbly. I used the last of my first batch of Swiss meringue buttercream filling this layer. I made a new batch of Swiss meringue buttercream and crumb coated cake. Then I ice it one more time to get a good amount of frosting on it and to really smooth it. Then I roll out a piece of pink fondant and cover the small cake with it. I prefer to flip my piece of fondant over to keep it from sticking to the table. When it's as large as I need, I use my long fondant rolling pin to pick it up and drape it over the cake. Then I smooth it using a fondant smoother and my hands and cut away the excess with a sharp knife. So I'm going to set this aside, and then we're going to set up our cake board and cover our second cake. I'm going to put the pink fondant on the top and then a little bit down the sides. And then I'm going to use this color. This is one that I mixed with using kind of a light green mixed with white and then mixed with this blue to get it to this turquoise color to match the ball. It's almost the same color. It's pretty close. It's a tiny bit darker. But I'm going to start it off with the pink on the top, and then I'm going to put the turquoise, the teal, around the sides. So I roll out my pink fondant large enough to cover the top of the cake. Then I smooth it with a fondant smoother and trim it to just below the top, but down to a point on one side. Then I roll out a strip of teal fondant to go around the cake. I can't roll a piece long enough to go all the way around the cake on my work surface, so I settle for more than halfway. I pick it up by rolling it around my small fondant rolling pin and unwrap it onto the sides of the cake. Then I do the same thing again to finish going all the way around. The fondant tore just a bit before finishing wrapping around, so I end up with two seams on the back. I use a sharp knife to cut through both layers of fondant to help them match up perfectly at one straight seam. Then I trim the top of the teal fondant right where the pink fondant ends. I originally wanted to do stripes on the bottom and polka dots on the top. And because if you look at the ball, you have polka dots. I don't know if you can see this. The polka dots, and then they have stripes, two different size stripes. So I told my daughter what I was planning on, and she said, no, I want stripes on the top, polka dots on the bottom. Alright, so what the child wants, the child gets. It is her birthday, so I'm just smoothing out the top. Whoops. What I'm doing is I'm taking the fondant smoother and I'm smoothing it like this, right at the seam. Okay? And along the side. I'm going to stand over here so you can see what I'm doing. Now what I'm going to do at that last seam right here is I'm actually going to put a little zipper on it. So you're not going to see too much seam action going on. What I'm trying to do is just get it to be normal. That? I don't know. No. What's going on here? They do not want to stick together. I don't want to be with you. You're just weird looking. Oh, same color as you are. What are you talking about? There we go. To make sure that your cake is nice and strong and doesn't collapse on you. And since this one has been quite crumbly, I definitely want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I use dowels. These are actually wooden skewers, Joshua skewers that you can buy just about anywhere. And I always put one in the middle, and then I like to mark it. I'm going to mark it with the knife. And then I'm going to cut it at length, and I'll cut the other ones the same length as well. I cut all my skewers with kitchen scissors. Then I place them in the cake, starting with the center and adding several more around it in a circle formation. Then I place my other layer on top, centering it as best I can. I use the rest of my excess pink fondant and add a bit more pink food coloring. Then a drop of red to get it to be a darker pink than it was. I use my clay extruder and a large round plate to make a long pipe that I use to hide the place where the two tiers meet. Then I extrude a thin, flat length to place where the teal meets the pink. I had a hard time getting it to stick, so I use edible glue to help, brushing it on with a paintbrush I only use for baking. Then I want to make the LOL Surprise logo. I start out by rolling a piece of dark pink. Then I roll out some white fondant and cut out LOL with a block alphabet. Then I use my fondant press form to create the rest of the letters to spell surprise in all capitals. I line them up using a ruler and stick them on with edible glue. Then I use my knife to trim the dark pink to create the background shadow of the LOL Surprise logo. And I use my clay extruder again to extrude 4 very thin black lines of fondant. I use them to surround the LOL and cut the rest in very small pieces to create the polka dots on the LOL. And here is my finished LOL Surprise logo. I place it on the cake right in the middle of the top tier to be the focus of the cake. I use a fondant tool to create a texture on the zipper. Then I use the dark pink fondant to make a small square and a teardrop shape to create the zipper and zipper pull. Then I use a large round piping tip to cut out a whole bunch of white dots and place them on the teal portion using edible glue. Then I use the rest of the excess white fondant to roll a log and wrap it around the bottom tier. I rolled out a piece of dark pink and trimmed the sides to be straight with a ruler. Then leaving the ruler along the side to measure, I used a fondant smoother as a straight edge to cut 1 cm strips. I stuck them on the side of the top tier using edible glue, spacing them out with the ruler again. Then I trimmed the top of the stripes to be flat. Then I rolled out another piece of dark pink and cut out the letters of my daughter's name using the Tap-It whimsical letters. My Tap-It doesn't always cut all the way through fondant, so I often have to help it using a knife. Do you like it?
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
That's exactly what you wanted, isn't it? Come here, honey. I'm taping it. No, come over here. Come over here. Sabrina, what do you think so far?
Good. It's not done yet.
It's not done yet, is it? Then I placed the letters of my daughter's name and the number 5 on the top using edible glue once again. I have these. I have about 8 of these, and these are all I headed them out on cardstock, and they're just taped with regular Scotch tape to a lollipop stick. So that's what these are. But it adds the characters, and I'm gonna to add them here and there. They should be in the foreground, so I'm gonna add them right in front here. That's Curie's Cutie, by the way. My daughter knows all of them. I think this one's Chew Captain. I added all the cardstock cutouts around the cake. Then, just because it seemed appropriate, I added a handful of large lollipops behind the figures for a bit more color and fun. I really loved the way it turned out. It was a bit rocky in the middle, but it ended up lovely, and exactly what my daughter was hoping for. Now, I'm looking for the board, the cake board underneath it. I can't feel it. Alright, I'm gonna have to, there we go. Found it. This one's going to be the death of me. Top and a little bit over the side, but I'm not going to use tons. Look at this. I have frosting on the back of my hand. Excuse me. So,